Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you've been doing well. We are back with my updated Game Week 1 bench boost team. I am very much locked into a Game Week 1 bench boost, and you are going to see why in this video. We have some absolutely spicy picks in this team for you. So if you want to do really well this season, make sure you smash a thumbs up on this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you also follow us over on Twitter, because we've been posting so much content over on Twitter over the last week or so. So if you want to make sure you get all the content ahead of the FPL season, make sure you follow us at Chasing Rank FPL across YouTube and Twitter. Today we also have some very special graphics to us from FPL Updates and Tips over on Twitter. He's generously given us access to use his graphics. So if you are a content creator and you want to suss them out, I'll have the links down below. But let's kick this bench boost draft off with our two goalkeepers. I am going with Robert Sanchez and Petrovic. Now, you might be saying, Pauly, Petrovic has Liverpool game week 1. Why the hell are you going there as a 4.5 million option? It's interesting. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the 4.5 million options that we have on offer for us here. What I like from this rotation is the run of fixtures you can play from game week 2 through to game week 6. I'm likely looking at playing a game week 7 wildcard when Arsenal's fixtures swing and when Liverpool's come back around as well. So I'm very keen on this as a rotation post game week 1. So I'm well aware that this game week 1, I could easily go Verbruggen, who has Fulham at home. The other options aren't great either. Kelleher as a 4.5 option has Nottingham Forest away in game week 1. There's no 4 million option as well. So I'm just thinking with Petrovic, look, I'm expecting Liverpool to win that game relatively comfortably. Could he potentially make 3, 4, 5 saves, maybe lose 2-1 and get away with a 2 or a 3-pointer? I see a world where that could happen. Bournemouth are a little bit hard to read at the moment too, because they've lost so many big pieces in their team. But I think that run of Wolves, Tottenham, Brighton, Newcastle and Leeds, he definitely plays for me. Depending how he looks against Liverpool, there's a world where I start Petrovic in game week 2 at home to Wolves. Then I'm probably going Sanchez, then probably Sanchez, and then definitely Petrovic in game week 6. So it's more about the opportunity that I get between Petrovic and Sanchez. I am looking at Sanchez, though, as my Chelsea cover in defence. I think at 5 million, he's actually a really good entry point. I think with the Nottingham Forest defenders, there's good value in the Forest defence, where Chelsea's defence, it's kind of Cucurella, or then you're not really going anywhere else. So for the sake of 5 million, I think Sanchez is a better option than Colwill, because Colwill doesn't get heaps of defensive contributions. And then Cucurella is at 6 million. And, you know, really, we don't know who's going to play on the right-hand side. Is it Reece James? Is it going to be Gusto? Again, Gusto is at 5 million, and I feel like you've got that constant risk of, you know, does Caicedo go to right back and do the inverting? So Sanchez at 5 million for me is just a very safe goalkeeper pick, who I think for the first 6 game weeks, there are clean sheets on offer there. Crystal Palace at home, I probably don't expect a clean sheet either, but then West Ham, Fulham, potentially Man United and Brighton at home. I think there's some opportunities there for Robert Sanchez to get some clean sheets. So if you think he's going to get some clean sheets as well, let me know. Let me know what you do in my position with the goalkeepers. I am spending 9.5 million on the goalkeepers. That is a significant amount of my budget early in the season, but I don't think there's a better way around it. So that's where I'm going with my goalkeepers. Let's kick it into gear with the defenders, because this is a bit of an interesting opportunity that we've got. So for those that are listening and maybe not watching, my 5 defenders on this bench boost are Virgil van Dijk, Nico Williams, De Kuyper, Wan-Bissaka, and Richards at the moment. So a few interesting decisions to be made on this. Once again, actually, I don't think you can quite see the last fixture there. Let me just bring this up a touch. And then you can see that Virgil definitely gets that Bournemouth game at home. I expect Liverpool to win that. Now, could we win that 2-0, 3-0 potentially? I think that's a big clean sheet opportunity. He then goes into Newcastle, Arsenal, Burnley, Everton, and Crystal Palace. Again, we know the Newcastle, Arsenal games can be difficult, but what I like about Virgil van Dijk is the defensive contributions. He was extremely high for a team as good as Liverpool for defensive contributions. And I think against Newcastle and Arsenal, they are fixtures where he'll be able to hit those. And then Burnley and Everton are then fixtures where I'd expect clean sheets. So Virgil gives you a bit of everything. He has a bit of attacking threat from set pieces. He has very, very good defensive contributions. And he also is locked in at 6 million. So I feel like at that 6 million bracket, you've got Vardiol. What's his role looking like? 8 Nuri. Is he starting left back? Is Vardiol starting left back? Is Vardiol the left centre back? Gabriel hasn't played a minute of pre-season, and Arsenal's fixtures aren't fantastic other than Leeds in game week 2. Saliba, same thing. Is he as good without Gabriel in the side? Frimpong and Kirkes are definitely not going to be 90-minute men. So yes, they're going to be creative, and yes, they're going to be attacking, but they are going to come off. Connor Bradley's going to play minutes. Simicast, if we don't sell him, is going to play minutes. Andy Robertson is still at the club. So for me, in that 6 million bracket, all the other options all have question marks on their potential outcomes, and not many of them have the combination of attacking threat and defensive contribution. So at the moment, I've squeezed 6 million into Virgil van Dijk. What you'll notice is this defense does not have a 5.5 million defender in it whatsoever. So if we need to take money out of areas of this team, it's probably going to be out of Virgil van Dijk. So let's move it over to Nico Williams. Now, 5 million, I could easily split Verge into a Tarkovsky and then move Williams up to a Murillo. I think Murillo looks fantastic for defensive contributions for Nottingham Forest. He also has obviously the same run of fixtures. So Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Arsenal, Burnley, Sunderland. I love the West Ham, Burnley, Sunderland. 3 out of 4 games there from game week 3 to game week 6. Absolutely love those as fixtures for him. What I like about Nico Williams is he was very high performing with those defensive contributions, and he's also got some very good attacking threat, especially if he can stay on some set pieces. He did take a few corners last year, which means maybe does he get Milenkovic some assists or Chris Wood some assists from those set pieces. So I want a piece of the Nottingham Forest defense, and right now for me it is a Nico Williams. Then we've got a rotation of 3 4.5 defenders. So realistically, what we need from Goalkeeper, Wan-Bissaka and Richards are just a good fixture every week. So when I look at this as a 3-way rotation, I see Wan-Bissaka. Well, game week 1's obviously the bench boost, so that's not an issue. Game week 2, you're going Goalkeeper away to Everton. Game week 3, you're going Wan-Bissaka to Nottingham Forest, which probably isn't fantastic. But then in game week 4, you're going Chris Richards, and in game week 5 with Sunderland at home and West Ham away, and then in game week 6 you're probably going Wan-Bissaka away, away to Everton. So I'm not looking at who's the best 4.5 million option. Like, I do like Anderson, but I just don't like that game week 1 fixture against Brighton away. He is someone that could come in for one of these guys, and it could actually be for Goalkeeper potentially. But I think this is a good enough rotation to get me up to my wild card. What I like about these 3 picks is they give you something a little bit different. Goalkeeper, his numbers from the Belgian league are just crazy attacking potential. We've seen left backs at Brighton like Purvis Estupiñán really, be game-breaking picks at their price. Wan-Bissaka, really advanced in this Graham Potter system. He's getting heaps of assists, heaps of balls into the box. Still okay for defensive contributions. He's more a tackler than a clearance person, but I think he could still do okay in the right fixtures. And then Chris Richards is he was going under the radar. I think Fantasy Football Hub have him probably a bit overs. They're really keen on him, and I think maybe a little bit of that is expecting Mark Gahey to leave the club. But we know that Ollie Glasner plays with the 3 centre-backs, so it's likely to be Gahey, Lacroix, and Richards, and his defensive contributions numbers were through the roof. So I expect him to be a centre-back who, even in tougher fixtures, can be okay. You could look at playing him against Aston Villa away if Crystal Palace are going to set up deep and he's going to get lots of those clearances. So I think our defense gives us some really good coverage. Let me know in the comments what you think of my defense. Let's kick it off into the midfield now. Let's just readjust the graphic for you. I'm going to have to do the same thing probably for the forwards. But in the midfield, we've gone big. Salah, Palmer, Bruno. Bang, bang, bang. I love this midfield, and it fits in Sarr, and it fits in Elliot Anderson. You're thinking, how the hell have you made this work? You've got a premium defender, you've got 2 premium midfielders, and a almost a third premium midfielder in Bruno Fernandes. Now, if I need to move money around in this team, it comes straight from Bruno Fernandes. There's an easy world where you make a 0.5 by going Virgil down to someone else and another 0.5 by going Bruno down to Florian Wirtz. I'm not a huge fan. I know I've got the Kuiper in my team. I really do try to avoid new signings into the league, into my initial teams. The exception of that was Erling Haaland. I just love the fixture spread between this midfield. I know the first game week, Bruno Fernandes has Arsenal. That's not fantastic, but his defensive contribution numbers are really, really strong. And he's saying he's an attacking midfielder. Why are you talking about defensive contribution? If you've got a midfielder whose floor is going to be 4 points before any attacking returns, before any bonus, before any penalties, he's going to have so many 9 and 10 point returns. And I think Bruno is, he even as a deeper midfielder could be an option that breaks the game this year. Because if his floor can start to become, 4 points, you're not having to rely so much on just the penalties, because then there can be a game where he gets the contributions, gets the penalty, gets 3 bonus, and you're looking at a stupid number of points from Bruno Fernandes. I love Fulham, Burnley, and Brentford in that first 6 as well. He's the talisman. I still think there's going to be some teething with where does he play. Is he going to play as one of the 10s? Is Cunha or Mbeumo going to play up front as the 9, depending on if they sign a 9? So there's a little bit of what's happening. He's looked fantastic in the deeper role so far through pre-season. Maybe in games that they're going to struggle in, he plays further forward. Maybe in games that they're going to dominate, he sits deeper. So you're going to get a bit of best of both worlds there. Mohamed Salah, Liverpool fan. I'm not going to sit here and talk about how good Mohamed Salah is as an option. I think when I'm comparing my drafts with him and Haaland, I just like my drafts with Salah a little bit more. So I'm not going to go into heaps of detail about Mohamed Salah. Cole Palmer, though, I think at 10.5 million, he's just the better option than everyone around him. I think Saka, I'm a bit on edge with at the moment as well. What's happening with penalties? Their fixtures aren't great. I think Palmer's are a lot better, and for 0.5 more, I think you just got to go Palmer. Sarr, I did say on the live, was not going to go into my team. The more I sit there and think about Ismaila Sarr, I just think at 6.5 million, he's got capacity to break the game, and I just got to leave last year's issues with him that I had. I got on him at the wrong time, and him over Eze really cost me last year. But if Eze does leave, does that make Sarr a better or worse option? I'm not sure. The actual other option I'm considering here is Declan Rice. I think, similar to Bruno, he's moving more into that 8 role now as well. He's not just going to sit there and be a defensive midfielder. Does that impact his defensive contributions? Maybe. Do Arsenal become a team that try to press from the front and then he actually starts to tackle and get more ball recoveries? Then probably as well. If teams are trying to play out against Arsenal, does he get a lot of those interceptions? And he's got set piece potential. He's got goal potential from the edge of the box. He's got free kicks. I like Declan Rice as an option, and that's one where I'm actually quite keen on. Elliot Anderson, I feel like everyone in the community is talking about Elliot Anderson right now. Defensive numbers through the roof. Morgan Gibbs-White stays, so I expect his role to stay the same. His creativity numbers were actually quite good. He was on a few set pieces towards the end of last season, so I think him at 5.5 is a great option. Another option I'm looking at, there's 2 probably other players that I'm looking at, but there's a reason why I've not gone with them. It's Granit Xhaka and it's Adingra. Again, Sunderland have really, really good opening fixtures. Granit Xhaka, his defensive numbers, we all know he's a very good defensive midfielder, but he showed a ceiling of attacking potential when he was at Arsenal. Now, was that down to the team that he was playing in? I'm not 100% sure. But if he rolls in and plays as an 8 for Sunderland, I think he could be an option at 5 million that really breaks the game. And then Adingra. I'm not going to bring up his numbers. I had it in the differentials short. So if you haven't watched that differential short, make sure you go over and watch that as well. But Adingra has really, really good underlying data per 90. But at Brighton, he wasn't getting 90 minutes. So I think now he's going to start getting a lot more minutes at Sunderland. But again, he's playing for a worse team than Brighton. So I think at 5.5 million, I'm going to go the safe option with Elliot Anderson. But let me know in the comments, who would you get in that 5th midfielder spot? Would you go Xhaka? Would you go Adingra? Or would you go with Elliot Anderson? In the forward line, the reason I was talking about Sunderland was at this stage, Mark Guiu is sitting as my 3rd forward at 4.5 million. Yes, it says he plays for Chelsea. That's why the graphic hadn't updated yet with his Sunderland fixtures. So I've put the Sunderland fixtures there. The other 2 forwards I've gone with are Chris Wood and Dominic Solanke. So Wood goes Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Arsenal, Burnley, Sunderland. That is just a juicy, juicy set of fixtures for an attacker for Nottingham Forest. I'm not expecting Chris Wood to be a great option all year, but the first 6 games, I expect him to hit the ground running. Solanke, my concern with the Dominic Solanke right now is he's not played in pre-season due to an injury. He's constantly injured. So if he does not start to clock some minutes up in pre-season, he will not be in my side. But Burnley, Man City, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves. I love that fixture run, barring that Man City game. And then Mark Guiu, you're not going to loan on Sunderland, and Elias Mayender's their current striker. Surely Guiu comes in and be's the number 9 straight away. We'd have to see it in pre-season before I fully commit to it. But this is how Bruno's made his way into my team. This was another 6.5 million forward. This was Danny Welbeck. And then Bruno had been a 6.5 midfielder. So that's the sort of difference. So by going Guiu, it allows me to get Bruno into my team. But Guiu plays West Ham, Burnley, Brentford, Palace, Villa, Forest. Bang, bang, bang. If he can hit the ground running in those first 3 games, then I absolutely love the pick. Again, does he start for me ahead of Solanke in game week 2? He probably does if he looks good against West Ham. So he's not just bench fodder. He potentially plays game week 2 for me in this side as well. So they are my current strikers. The big omission is I don't have a João Pedro. So everyone might be saying he's so highly owned. Why are you going against him? The Club World Cup, yada, yada, yada. I am not buying into the hype of João Pedro. Now, I love him as a footballer. I do not expect him to get anywhere near the minutes that everyone else is expecting him. I think he's a 60-minute man, and off he comes for Delap. So the reason I'm fading a João Pedro right now is purely based on the minutes. I'm not saying he's not a good footballer or a good option, but I just think we need to be mindful that how many times can he get subbed out early with no return and you go, I'm going to wear it, I'm going to wear it, I'm going to wear it. I think you're going to get very, very frustrated. It was almost like owning a Darwin Núñez of the past. Good data, bad minutes. At some point, the straw is going to break. So I think avoiding João Pedro is the option right now, and I've gone with the 2 safe guys. I do like Danny Welbeck as an option. Obviously, I can't fit him into this draft with the midfield that we've got, but that's what I'm looking like for my forward line. So this is my final side. So this is, if I wasn't bench boosting, this is probably the team going into game week 1. So Sanchez, Virgil, Williams, De Kuyper, Palmer, Salah, captain, Sarr, Anderson, Bruno, Solanke, Wood, and then Petrovic, Wan-Bissaka, Richards, and Mark Guiu on the bench. So that is my side as it stands at the moment. I am very, very happy with that as a bench boost. Probably just the Petrovic pick is the one where I'm a bit, do I love it for game week 1 on a bench boost? No, but I just don't see there's another option. Get down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on my updated bench boost team. I think it is extremely strong, but you guys let me know in the comments what you think and what changes you'd make to that. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe because there's going to be so much more content coming out all the way up to the start of the Premier League season. Thank you to everybody who already has helped us out already because the numbers have been going crazy. We will see you guys very, very soon for some more videos.